You're a coach stepping into a locker room full of egos. Some of the greatest players to play the game are looking at you, and you've been given a job to get them to work together, win championships, and stay mentally sharp. Elite coaching is not for the faint-hearted, especially when the players are as intense as Michael Jordan, unpredictable as Dennis Rodman, or as driven as Kobe Bryant. This is the challenge Phil Jackson was faced with. He led the Chicago Bulls to 6 championships, took a break, and casually took the Lakers to 5 championships, totaling 11 rings. So, if there's anything we can take from Phil Jackson, is that winning is no accident. He's an elite coach who knows what it takes and what needs to be done to win. You would think the core message would be about basketball tactics, however, it was much more. His approach was as much about spirituality, leadership, and human psychology as much as it was about X's and O's on the court. In this episode, we're diving into Phil Jackson's story, using the lessons from his life as told in the book 11 Rings. How does a man from a strict Christian upbringing end up finding inspiration in Zen Buddhism? How does a role player on the Knicks become the mastermind behind championship dynasties? And what does all of that teach us about leadership? Let's find out. Growing up in North Dakota, Phil's parents were devout Christians. His first introduction into spirituality, which gave him a consciousness to approach life with deep meaning. As much as Phil grew up with devout Christian parents, he also wrestled with Christianity and its validity, leading to more life questions than he had answers to. This led Phil to spend his youth searching for meaning. Phil found a love for sports, being a standout athlete in basketball, in which his skills were later developed at the University of North Dakota. 1967, and Phil was drafted to the New York Knicks, and his experience as a player is crucial to the leader he'd later become. He wasn't a superstar by any means, but like life, there are pros and cons to everything. Phil would learn the value of selflessness, discipline, and teamwork from the legendary coach Red Holzman. This style of play and mentality is quite similar to the legendary coach John Wooden. Red believed that basketball was a selfless game, and the more you could subjugate your ego and play with discipline, the better your team will be. Red's approach was simple. It wasn't about one person, it was about how the team worked together. That lesson stuck with Phil and shaped the way he thought about leadership. What I learned from Red was that a team is only as strong as the weakest player, and everyone had a role to play. As a role player, Jackson also knew what it meant to sacrifice personal glory for the greater good of the team. This would become a key theme in his coaching career, but even more important than his on-court skills, Phil experienced the personal struggle of injury, which set him up for the next phase of his journey, coaching. Phil's early experiences with Red Holzman taught him the value of selflessness and discipline. In leadership, it's crucial to remember that success is about the team, not the individual. Great leaders uplift everyone around them by putting the team's needs first. Whether in sports or business, subjugating your ego for the collective good leads to greater success. After Phil's injuries, he had to grapple with 2 things. 1, he was not going to be the same player he once was, and 2, his playing time will be cut short. During this period, Phil found himself transitioning into coaching. Like with most people, transitioning into a new area wasn't going to be smooth. He didn't start out as an amazing coach in the NBA and automatically start winning titles. In fact, as to be expected, Phil wasn't even considered for big coaching jobs in the beginning. Outside of his experiences working alongside Red Holzman in a small capacity at the Knicks organization, Phil went to learn his trade in Puerto Rico and the CBA, which was a developmental league for players who weren't ready for the NBA, similar to the G League now. This gave Phil the time to grow and hone his skills as a coach. It is these experiences where Phil's understanding of leadership and human behavior really started to take shape. Around this time, Phil's life wasn't just about basketball anymore. He had gone from being a young player whose sole focus was establishing himself in a successful Knicks team to an aspiring coach whose focus and attention was on making others better. He was searching for a deeper meaning. His Christian upbringing had given him a sense of a higher power, but Phil was on a spiritual journey, trying to find balance in a world that often felt chaotic. The world of Zen Buddhism. Most coaches aren't known for their spirituality, but for Phil, Zen was exactly what he needed. He was introduced to meditation and the concept of being fully present, which helped him develop the calm and clarity he's known for today. Zen practice is about staying present and letting go of the outcome. It's not about winning or losing, but how you play the game. Phil was hired as an assistant on the coaching staff of Doug Collins, who was head coach of the Chicago Bulls. One of the turning points for Phil was meeting Tex Winter, who was already part of Doug Collins' staff. Tex introduced Phil to the triangle offense. Doug didn't really take too kind to Tex Winter's triangle offense, but for Phil, This wasn't just a basketball strategy, it was a philosophy about how players should move and work together. It clicked for Phil. The triangle offense wasn't just about X's and O's, it was about creating harmony, allowing players to express their creativity within a disciplined framework. Tex became a mentor, and the triangle offense would become a key part of Phil's coaching playbook. Phil's discovery of Zen Buddhism shifted his mindset to embrace the present and let go of the need for control. In leadership, staying present and focusing on what you can control today, rather than worrying about the outcome, creates a balanced, calm approach that can inspire those around you. Great leaders know when to step back and let the process unfold. Let's fast forward to when things really started to take off. Phil's time with the Chicago Bulls. When Phil Jackson took over as head coach, the Bulls were seen as an almost team. Doug Collins, he couldn't quite get the Chicago Bulls over the line. Jerry Krause, who was the Chicago Bulls general manager, he had an eye for talent, so he promoted Phil and sacked Doug. Chicago had Michael Jordan, the greatest player in the world who had won the MVP the year before, but he hadn't cracked the championship code. This is where Phil's philosophy really came into question. Michael could score, but he would need more tools to ensure Chicago became a winning team. Phil was the one to challenge Jordan to trust his teammates more. This is key. Phil believed in team unity over individual brilliance, even if the individual was Michael Jordan. Great players make others around them better, and that's what you need to do if you want to win championships. Jordan had incredibly high standards, which meant he demanded high standards from his teammates. Will Perdue, a big man on the Bulls, was lying on a massage table instead of practicing. Jordan, being the leader he was, couldn't stand this and wanted to send a message. To him, the message was clear. If you want to be part of a championship team, you show up and you give it your all every single day. So he let Perdue know, loudly and directly, that this behavior wasn't acceptable. If you're not here to put in the work, you don't deserve to be on the court with us. This moment wasn't just about a training argument. It was a reflection of the incredibly high standards that Jordan held for himself and expected from his teammates. Jordan's frustration with Perdue was rooted in the belief that every player on the team needed to match his work ethic and commitment to winning. Phil had to give Michael a lesson. He had to learn that not everyone on the team was wired like him. Not everyone had his relentless drive. Phil challenged Jordan to understand that true leadership isn't just about pushing everyone to work harder, it's about bringing them along, finding ways to make each player feel valued and invested in the team's success. Jordan's fire was what drove him, but he needed to learn that being a leader meant guiding others, not just dominating them. That's where Phil's influence became so important. He helped Jordan realize that to win championships, it wasn't enough for him to be the best player. He had to elevate everyone around him. Scottie Pippen, Jordan's right-hand man, played a crucial role in balancing the team dynamics. Pippen was the perfect complement to Jordan. His versatility, defensive prowess, and unselfishness made him indispensable. Jordan was our leader, but Pippen was the glue that held everything together. Pippen didn't crave the spotlight. His ability to play multiple roles on the court and his willingness to sacrifice for the good of the team made him just as essential to the Bulls' success. While Jordan was the undisputed star, Pippen's quiet leadership allowed the team to function as a cohesive unit. He was often the one filling in the gaps, whether it was defending the opposition's best player, facilitating the offense, or stepping up when Jordan wasn't at his best, which was rare. Pippen's versatility allowed us to be flexible on both ends of the court. He was our Swiss Army knife. When we think about Phil's leadership with the Bulls, it wasn't just about managing Jordan's ego or dealing with chaotic personalities like Dennis Rodman. It was about nurturing Pippen's role as the stabilizing force. Pippen didn't need the spotlight, but Phil made sure he got the respect and recognition he deserved within the team. This delicate balance, managing both the star power of Jordan and the quiet strength of Pippen, was key to building the Bulls into a championship dynasty. Phil also had to manage Dennis Rodman, who was a whole different challenge. Rodman was eccentric and unpredictable to say the least, but also one of the greatest rebounders and defenders in the game. Managing Dennis wasn't about controlling him, it was about respecting his individuality while guiding him to contribute to the team's success. Under Phil's guidance, the Bulls won 6 championships. But it wasn't just about the rings, it was about the philosophy, the team culture, and the idea that basketball could be a spiritual journey. Phil helped Jordan realize that true leadership isn't just about being the best, it's about elevating others. Leaders must challenge those they lead to rise to their potential while supporting them through their journey. By empowering teammates like Scottie Pippen and managing dynamic personalities like Dennis Rodman, Phil created an environment where each player thrived. Leaders must challenge those they lead to rise to their potential while supporting them through their journey. By empowering teammates like Scottie Pippen and managing dynamic personalities like Dennis Rodman, Phil created an environment where each player thrived. Leaders must know when to push and when to nurture. In 1998, Jerry Krause decided he was splitting up the team, and that year will be Phil Jackson's last season with the Chicago Bulls. After the experience with the Chicago Bulls, Phil took a hiatus to recharge and focus on his personal life. The role of a basketball head coach or any significant leader comes with serious sacrifices. Family are usually the ones to suffer. Phil's relationship with his wife had become rocky. He had missed a lot of time with his wife and kids. The hiatus from the game was time to prepare. However, when the Lakers came calling, Phil couldn't resist the urge to challenge himself once again. He became the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Here we see a whole new set of challenges: Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, Shaq and Kobe. Similar to the Chicago Bulls, the Lakers had most of the pieces capable of winning the championship, but they couldn't get over the hump. They too were an almost team. Shaq and Kobe were dominant talents, but they didn't always see eye to eye. Kobe was young, driven, and obsessed with being the best, while Shaq was a larger-than-life character, literally and figuratively. Used to dominating, getting the ball in the paint, and being the main man, Kobe was coming into the league and fearless, and this became a clash of egos. Phil once again had to look into his bag of tricks to guide them. Kobe's ambition was admirable, but he needed to learn how to balance his drive with his responsibility to the team. Kobe was a special talent that needed freedom within a system. You see, the triangle offense allowed the ball to move to the open man, a selfless and team-centered approach. However, players like Kobe and Shaq were incredibly gifted. They didn't need a system to get their points. Championships require a team approach and sacrifice. Everybody needs to sacrifice. It was super important that Phil wanted to give Kobe the freedom to push himself and not stifle his creativity, but wanted to ensure Kobe understood the value of trusting his teammates, just as he had done with Jordan years earlier. Phil Jackson knew that greatness couldn't be bottled into a framework. You couldn't micromanage stars like Shaq or Kobe, just like you couldn't micromanage Jordan. My job wasn't to control my players, it was to create the conditions for them to succeed by helping them find their balance. Phil Jackson had a strong appreciation for certain players, one specifically Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher embodied leadership and the ability to perform in crucial moments. Fisher wasn't the most gifted athlete on the court, but his intelligence, poise, and understanding of the triangle offense made him a vital component of the team. Phil often valued Fisher's contributions because he played within the system and he helped facilitate the team's strategy, which emphasized trust and execution over pure talent. Fisher's presence was like an anchor for the team during chaotic moments. This highlights the value of some players. Not every player can be great. However, if you put certain players within a system, and a system that suits them, they will shine. In the first year of Phil Jackson's reign in 1999, the team hadn't fully bought into the system. Shaq and Kobe hadn't quite figured out how to share responsibilities. And this showed, as the absolute trust of the system and their teammates was not there. You cannot win a championship if you do not fully buy into the system, or if you don't wholeheartedly trust your teammates. Losing to the Spurs in 1999 was a wake-up call. That talent alone wouldn't win us a championship. We had to learn to trust each other and commit fully to the system, or we will never get over the hump. To help build this trust, Phil brought in his friend, George Mumford, with military experience, who spoke to the team on the bond shared amongst soldiers. This kind of bond is where a soldier is willing to risk his life for another fellow soldier. This kind of unity is what is needed to achieve success. Phil wanted to stress the importance of sacrifice and trust as the cornerstone for championship winning teams. They have to be willing to die for one another. Phil worked tirelessly to mediate the egos of Shaq and Kobe. He had to convince them that their collective success depended on their willingness to trust one another and the rest of the team. As the leaders of the team, Shaq and Kobe needed to buy into the triangle for the team to function as a championship caliber unit. Their personal egos took a backseat to the almost chatter that the media was starting to label them with. Their defeat to the San Antonio Spurs in 1999 forced the team to confront their shortcomings and recognize that talent alone wasn't enough to secure a championship. The loss acted as a wake-up call, pushing the players to buy into the triangle offense, trust each other, and commit to a team-oriented approach. That defeat burned in us, but it also sparked a realization. We had to become a team in the truest sense, one that believed in the power of collective effort and discipline. The 1999 experience became a catalyst for growth, teaching the Lakers the importance of unity, discipline, and full commitment to the system. By the 2000 season, those lessons they translated into stronger chemistry, a better execution, and a renewed sense of purpose that ultimately propelled them to their championship victory. Phil Jackson's guidance for Kobe wasn't just about refining his skills, but teaching him to balance ambition with trust. Leadership is a balance between individual excellence and team unity. Great leaders inspire trust by encouraging collaboration and understanding that no one achieves greatness alone. By fostering this balance, Phil unlocked the potential of both Kobe and Shaq. By the time Phil Jackson had won his 5th ring with the Lakers in 2010, his philosophy of leadership had fully matured. After the three-peat where the Lakers won 3 consecutive championships from 2000 to 2002, Shaq was traded to the Miami Heat. The 1-2 punch of Shaq and Kobe was gone. Kobe was now a different leader. Kobe's leadership evolved. He understood that to win, he needed to lift others, not just lead by sheer will. He, along with Derek Fisher, had embodied the triangle offense. They now needed to become teachers to a new team. This phase was a lesson in renewal, requiring Phil to rebuild the team from the ground up and instill trust and commitment among a new group of players. One of the pivotal moments in this renewal was the acquisition of Pau Gasol in 2008. Phil took on the challenge of teaching Gasol how to play within the triangle offense, emphasizing the importance of integrating his skill set into the collective play. Pau's intelligence and willingness to adapt were essential, but he needed to buy into the system fully for us to succeed as a team. Pau would help the Lakers to 2 championships in 2009 and 2010. The key to these championships was getting the new team members to buy into Phil's philosophy of teamwork and trust. What's so remarkable about Phil isn't just the number of championships, it's the way he evolved as a leader and a coach. From the selfless, team-orientated lessons of Red Holzman to the Zen-infused philosophy he embraced later, Phil's leadership was much more than basketball. Basketball was a platform for spiritual growth, for me and for my players. It was about the game, but it was also about life. He was never the fiery, controlling type. He led by trusting, by empowering, and by understanding that sometimes the best thing you can do as a leader is to step back and let your players figure things out. Phil's journey was deeply spiritual. He saw the game as a path to self-awareness, to understanding ego, and to finding harmony in a world of chaos. That's why his influence on his players was significant. By the time Phil won his 11th ring, his leadership philosophy had evolved into something deeper, focused on the growth of his players as individuals, not just athletes. True leadership is about more than just managing performance. It's about guiding people towards self-awareness and personal growth. When leaders step back and trust their team, they create space for greatness to emerge naturally. What can we learn from Phil Jackson's journey? It's always more than sport. Although the 11 rings speak for themselves, Phil's leadership was about understanding human nature, finding balance between discipline and freedom, and knowing that sometimes the best way to lead is to let go. Success isn't just about championships. It's about helping people become their best selves, both on and off the court. He was a coach, yes, but he was also a mentor, a spiritual guide, and a leader who believed that success was more than just winning games. His ethos was about building trust and unity and self-awareness, both on the court and in life. And maybe that's why Phil Jackson is considered one of the greatest coaches of all time. He understood that leadership is about helping people become the best version of themselves, because when they are the best version of themselves, they can achieve great things. Remember, whoever you're leading, success is as much about the journey as it is about the destination. Don't solely focus on the destination, as there are many factors you cannot control, but concentrate on constant improvement. Now that is within your power. Share this with as many leaders as you can. Thanks for tuning in.